How slavery built the Death Star. Slavery was prominent during the Empire, but it also existed during the Republic. Let's start there. Slavery during the Republic. As we know, Anakin Skywalker was born into slavery on Tatooine.
You're a slave? I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
Now, this is technically illegal under Republic law, but because it was in the Outer Rim, they were able to get away with it under the Hutts.
No one can out-pizza the Hutt!
During the Republic, we also have the Clone Army, which were slaves created to serve and die for the Republic.
Magnificent, aren't they?
When they were created, there was no exit plan for them after the war. These clones are sentient, they can think for themselves, they're human. There's no question that this is a form of slavery. During Star Wars The Clone Wars, we even see one soldier defect and start a life as a farmer on a remote planet. After he's discovered as being a deserter, he explains himself, and eventually Rex leaves him alone and lets him continue his life peacefully. Emperor Palpatine, before he was Emperor, used the clones to secure the galaxy as to prevent interruptions to Death Star construction. Now let's talk about slavery under the Empire. And where better to start than Kashyyyk, the home of the Wookiees. During Order 66, many Wookiees were slain or captured by the Clone Army. Several were sent to the spice mines of Kessel, or they were sent on to build Imperial weapons. In the movie Solo, Chewbacca is seen in captivity by the Empire, but Han and Chewie manage to escape. We later see them liberating Wookiees and droids alike on Kessel, where they were enslaved by the Pike Syndicate. You may like Wookiees, but you might call me a Wookiee for what I'm about to say. The Empire reflects white supremacist sentiment. The Empire saw non-humans as generally inferior to humans. This is how they could justify slavery of other species. Almost every officer and official of the Empire were humans. The one major exception I can think of is Admiral Thrawn, but even he is still human-like. The Empire called other species non-sentient despite clear evidence to the contrary. Other systems were colonized and placed into chains due to their resistance against the Empire. There is a somewhat similar real-life parallel to this, and that's Haiti. Haiti had a slave revolt against the French. France later returned with warships and held the half-island hostage until a coerced agreement was made. From 1825 to 1947, Haiti paid this forced debt to France. For 19 years during that period, the United States violently occupied Haiti, controlling the national income for 13 years after the occupation ended. Back to Star Wars. Let's talk about slavery in Andor. During the first season of Andor, we see Cassian arrested for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even after trying to argue his case, he is still convicted for the crimes he did not commit.
I didn't do anything. Hey!
Take it up with the Emperor.
Wait!
Some possibly smooth-brained people will argue that this is justice because he did commit crimes, his self-defense on Morlana 1, and the Imperial raid on Aldhani. I say bollocks. The arrest and subsequent conviction are meant to indicate a rule, not an exception. Many people are being arrested despite not committing any crimes. We even find out during an ISB meeting that they're arresting more people than they can process and question, which is likely why Cassian was not recognized as a wanted fugitive of the Empire during his arrest. No lawyer, no jury, no due process, just an arrest, and then the Empire can do whatever it likes to you. Sound familiar? It's time to open your eyes and be woke again for just a minute. Slavery is still legal in the United States. Yes, you heard that right. Under the 13th Amendment, which we know to be the one that officially freed the slaves, there is a carve-out for slavery, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Now, if you heavily target black and brown neighborhoods to ensure a higher proportion of minorities are arrested and then convicted, you have created a de facto slave institution built on the loose confines of race. But we're here to talk about Star Wars, aren't we? On Narkina 5, prisoners are forced to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have unlimited food, they are showered, and they sleep, but they work constantly and are under constant threat of death by electrocution. We watch as the days go by and slowly whittle away at each inmate's sentence. However, arbitrarily, the sentences are doubled, and the Empire has doubled the length of its effective workforce. There is a nod to this during Cassian's sentencing as well. The magistrate notes that this sentence used to be 6 months, but has increased to 6 years. This indicates both brutal punishment for anyone who dares to resist imperial rule, but also a master plan to extract as much free labor from criminals as possible. We also know that at the end of sentences, these prisoners weren't being released. Instead, they were being relocated to different work areas.
You heard me. No one's getting out, are they? Not now. Not after this.
When word got out about this practice, the Empire panicked, and the guards killed all 100 men on that work floor to prevent word from spreading about the false hope of freedom. Now think about the scale of Narkina 5. In this one compound, there are 50 men per work floor, 2 shifts per day, 7 work floors per level, 7 levels in the facility. When you multiply that out, that's 4,900 slaves in this one facility. There are 7 of these facilities shown on Narkina 5, ensuring a minimum of 35,000 slaves in that one location. If you applied federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, which hasn't changed in 17 years by the way, these workers would cost $3 million a day, or approximately $1.1 billion a year. Actually seems kind of affordable considering what they're building. Instead, the Empire pockets this money without ever intending to release anyone. The slaves of Narkina 5 were specifically building materials for the Death Star. In the post-credits of one episode, we see the fasteners being placed into the Death Star's ring. Cassian Andor was being forced to construct the weapon used to kill him. When Cassian was first sentenced, there were other ships being sent to 2 other locations. We can assume that these were similar facilities used to propel the Imperial war machine forward. And there's just one more honorable mention I'd like to talk about before we end this video, and that's Saw Gerrera. When Saw was young, the Confederacy of Independent Systems took him as a prisoner and forced him into labor at a Rhydonium work camp. It was here that he was first exposed to Rhydonium and became addicted to it.
That itch, that burn. You feel how badly she wants to explode? With a Rhydo, kid. With a fuel. With a thing that explodes when there's too much friction in the air.
Being a slave himself, Saw came to despise slavery in all forms and sought to rid it from the galaxy, whether it was deployed by the Separatists or by the Empire. If only Anakin had maintained that same hatred for slavery, maybe we wouldn't be in this mess.
I will do whatever you ask.
Good.
Slavery is wrong in all forms. Even if someone is a convicted felon, it's wrong to force them into labor without pay. We can have a conversation about whether heavily garnished wages for the worst offenders are appropriate, but when you have a system propped up on free labor, it incentivizes the wealthiest members to increase that labor supply regardless of guilt or innocence of the workers. Corporations exploit the cheap labor offered by those prison systems, and private prisons profit by selling the labor of their captives. Ultimately, this takes jobs away from normal working class people and drives wages down overall. Slavery only benefits one group, slave owners. We should learn from history and fiction alike. It is an evil, unsustainable scourge on society and must be ended globally, starting wherever you are.
Do you want to know why?
Everything you stand for.
Freedom scares you.
Freedom.
Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the world needs you.